Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mattel Hammond collection review. Today we're going to take a look at the new Concavenator. Now it's been a little while since we've had any new Hammond collection releases. Now this Concavenator is kind of a strange release. It was leaked a while ago. We all knew it was coming. Some people thought it was fake, and then it just randomly shows up for pre-order on a couple of sites. No official announcement from Mattel. Usually when it comes to the Hammond collection and Legacy collection figures, there's a big, production for it. Beyond the Gates does the big reveal and tells you when you can pre-order, blah, blah, blah. There was really nothing for this particular figure. Now I ended up getting mine from Amazon. I pre-ordered it when it came up and it shipped out the other day. I think they retail for like $21.99 now or $22.99. Hooray for inflation. And it's also available for pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store. So time will tell if this is an internet exclusive or if it's actually going to show up on store shelves. I really don't know what's going on with this. Now let's just go over the package really quick before we crack this figure open. You got the Hammond Collection logo down here, the JP T-Rex silhouette up here, window box showing off the Concavenator. Side of the box, we got a nice picture of the Concavenator figure with the Fallen Kingdom logo. And on the back of the box, we have a nice full picture of the actual toy. Down here, with a little info about Concavenator, recognizable due to a distinctly shaped spine. The Concavenator is on display and encased in history as Claire visits the Lockwood Estates. Oh my god, I stumbled over that. So yeah, the Concavenator was in Fallen Kingdom. It was in a blink if you miss it moment in the Lockwood Estates. It was a taxidermy animal in one of the display cases in the background. So enough about the packaging. Let's crack this thing open and take a closer look. But before we begin, just like all other Hammond collection figures, you do have to do a little bit of assembly. Just have to stick the tail into the slot right here until you hear it click into place. That is a one-time assembly. Once you do that, it's not coming out. And here is the Concavenator. The packaging, a really, really cool figure. I do have a couple small issues with it, but we'll get to those a little bit later on. But all around, another great addition to the Hammond collection. Hammond collection has been pretty much stellar ever since it released, and this was a surprise edition. This thing is nothing more than a background cameo of a not living dinosaur in the movie. But hey, I'll take whatever articulated dinosaur figures I can get in the Hammond collection. But yeah, really cool looking figure. Has really nice paint apps on it. The color scheme, with the red and like that bluish color, kind of reminds me of the old Dual Attack Nasutoceratops. It's very similar in colors used on here. I'll take that out, the Nasuto, a little bit later during comparisons to show you the similarities. It's still a weird version of Concavenator. It has that extra finger. The head shape's totally different, but it gets the general shape of what a Concavenator is with that spine above the hips. The color scheme, like I said, really nice. Love the bright orange on the tail and the dark brown paint at the base of it. Hooray for painting tails. Thank you, Mattel. So yeah, really, really great looking figure, other than just a couple minor issues I have with it. Now for some measurements, this figure is 13 inches long from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, or about 33 centimeters, and about 5.5 inches tall to the top of that hump, or just under 14 centimeters. So Concavenator in real life was between 16 and 20 feet long, or 5 to 6 meters. So I put this figure somewhere in the 115 to the 118 scale range, so it's going to scale really well with the rest of the line. And now let's zoom and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with the head. Now, the paint apps on the head is one of the issues I have with this figure. You see this pattern right here. It's a dark red color in the eyes. It has this screened on look, like it was like a printer printed the paint on it. You see that type of paint apps like on a lot of the mainline figures. I've yet to see it on the Hammond collection. This is the first time I've seen it, and it just makes the figure look a little bit cheaper. And because of that, the eye is slightly off center. Mattel in their eyes, the quality control of their eyes is pretty terrible. So spin it around to the other side. Let's get it focused in on that. You can see it is more misprinted on the other side. And I do have a couple sloppy paint from the teeth, but that's easy to remove with Q-tip and some acetone. But yeah, not really particularly happy to see that they are using this type of paint application on these Hammond collection figures. I just think it makes them look a little bit cheap. But other than that, the teeth are all nicely painted. You have some bright pink for the roof of the mouth and the tongue. Nice texture on the tongue. Gums are done in that glossy pink plastic. You can see a lot of nice scale detail all over the head. Some large scales on the bottom of the lower jaw. You have a little bit of white that transitions from the lower jaw onto the neck. It goes all the way down to just about the base of the tail, and then along the neck and top of the head, you have all these nice large rows of osteoderms, and then you have some of that orange paint. Get the neck all messed up. You get some nice orange paint apps. You can see the transition from how it was like screened on to the paint apps that actually painted on the figure. It's just like night and day. You know, it's nice to see multiple different colors on here, but I just really don't like how that's applied. So you get that bright orange going all the way down to over the shoulder, and you have a couple rows of very large osteoderms above the arms, going down to the arms. This is my favorite part about the figure. Look, we actually have wrist articulation on a Hammond collection figure. You know, the Parasaurolophus, Baryonyx, and Ceratosaurus could have really used this joint. So, but it's nice to see that Mattel actually included it, and hopefully this is something that will become the standard in the future for the rest of the figures in the line. And then looking at the hand, you can see it has this weird, you know, extra finger right here. It has basically a thumb, but hey, the hand claws are painted in with this really dark brown paint. Then going down to the side of the body, some nice more texture and nice scale definition all over the place. Thighs are nice and muscular looking. You have a nice bulging calf muscle. Feet a little bit oversized, but I really don't mind that. It helps with stability. You saw when I had this on the turntable, it was standing up on 1 foot. So the figure does have some really good balance. The other issue I have is like some of the joints were really loose on this. Like this pivot joint right here is extremely loose. It was so bad I couldn't pose on 1 foot, and this side just kept you know, swaying to the side. I couldn't get the right balance. That's why I used the other leg. And then let's stretch the legs out and take a look at the ridge on his back, which Concavenator is known for. It was 2 vertebrae that stuck up above the hips and formed this type of hump on its back. And I almost just dropped my entire lighting system on my head. Let's fix that catastrophe for a second. But yeah, you get some nice texturing all over that hump. Nice transition of orange to this like really dark grayish blue coloration. And then you have some brown transition on the back of the thighs that goes onto the tail all the way down to about the midpoint. Some nice pattern on the tail. Got another ridge down here with some nice texturing on it. And the rest of the tail is just this bright orange coloration. So I do like the color scheme that they picked on here. This really dark blue and bright orange. I think it's really nice in contrast. And so all around, yeah, really good figure. Just the loose joints and just those, you know, mispainted eyes are just really bugging me about it. For articulation, mouth can close completely flush. It can open up that wide. There's another hinge up here that allows the top half of the head to give you a little bit more room with that bite. You do have articulation at the base of the head, up and down, side to side, 360 degrees. Base of the neck, up, down, side to side, and another 360 degrees. Arms are on a hinge. They can swing out. They can move forwards and backwards. You can get straight movement at the elbow, just under 90 degrees at the elbow. This beautiful, very welcome wrist articulation, 360 degrees, upwards and downwards movement. Hind legs can go backwards and forwards. You do have a pivot at the hips with those back legs. Knee joint can extend that far, go back that far. Ankle joint, backwards, forwards, and you do get a swivel. Ankle joint, you get backwards and forwards, and some nice tiltage on that joint and some rotation. Tail can go up, down, side to side, and it's also made out of a soft rubber material, so you can get some extra movement with that bendy wire. Moving on with comparisons, here it is with some of the human figures. Here it is with Claire, and speaking of Fallen Kingdom, here it is with Maisie, the worst thing to come out of Fallen Kingdom besides the Indoraptor. Yeah, so speaking of the Indoraptor, I did see the new Dino Trackers one on the shelves the other day. Toy looks great. It looks really fun, but I just hate the concept of the Indoraptor. The toys for it have all been good, but you know, I haven't picked any of them up other than that one that I cannibalized for parts to do some customs with. But yeah, I just don't like the Indoraptor. It's for $20 million. It does the job of what a 50-cent bullet can do. But enough about that. So I will probably pick up the Indoraptor when, not if, when we get a Hammond collection version. You know it's going to come sometime down the road. They're going to slowly trickle out a couple dinosaurs from each movie here and there, and you know we're eventually going to get an Indoraptor. So when that happens, I'll actually pick one up and review it. And next up, let's do some of the old Concavenator toys. Here is the old Dino Rivals one, and here is the repaint one that came out very shortly after the Dino Rivals one came out. Let's just zoom out a little bit so you can see them side by side. Obviously, the Fallen Kingdom one is the superior one because of all the articulation and better paint apps. But yeah, let's just take a quick look at this really quick. Look, back in the day, Mattel actually did care about painting the tails on the figure. This is a mainline figure. It has some nice paint apps all the way down the tail. You can see a lot of similarities between, let's focus in on that, between the Hammond collection and the older version. They both have pretty much the same head sculpt and pretty much the same body aesthetics, and they all have the 4 fingers. And next up, wow, we're just doing a lot of old figures today. Here is the Dino Rivals Battle at Big Rock, the Pseudoceratops. You can see the color scheme and plastic use is pretty similar. The Nasudo is a little bit darker blue, but I just couldn't help but, notice the similarities between even the underside of the Nasudo is painted like with that white coloration that they used on the Concavenator. It's just like a similarity I just noticed when I opened this up. And let's do some Dino Tracker comparisons. Here it is with the Sino Tyrannus, and here it is with the Wild Roar Diabloceratops. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can see everyone all together. And there's one thing I want to see. I want to see if this tracker gear that came with the Sino Tyrannus fits on the Concavenator. Might be a little big. It is definitely way too big to fit on there. Yeah, that is not going to work. And lastly, here is the Concavenator with some other Hammond collection figures. We have the amazing T-Rex, the Triceratops, the Dilophosaurus, Gallimimus, Ceratosaurus, and Dr. Alan Grant. The Ceratosaurus is still one of my favorite figures from the Hammond collection, but man, really wish that one came with wrist articulation, but I'm really happy to see that the Concavenator does. Like I said a couple times, I hope this is the standard now going forward for figures in this line. And we have a lot more Hammond collection figures to look forward to relatively soon. We have the Ankylosaurus and Geosternbergia coming out. We have the JP3 Raptor, Muldoon, JP3 Grant with the female Raptor. So a lot of cool stuff come out. And next year is also Jurassic Park's 30th anniversary. So I'm sure there is a lot more surprises planned for this line throughout next year. So final thoughts on the Hammond collection Concavenator. I really like this figure. I think it has the best articulation of the line so far, besides the T-Rex. That wrist articulation is very, very welcome. I like the color scheme on it. The dark blue, orange, and brown have nice contrast all together. My minor complaints is just, the paint apps on the side of the head. I just do not like that screened printed look. It's like kind of pixelated, and plus the eyes are off center on mine. So that's really irritating to see. They just cannot get misprinted eyes under control with their quality control. It's been absolutely terrible since Mattel got the license, and they still haven't fixed it. It just pisses me off every single time I see it. And the other thing is, one of the legs of mine is a little bit loose. I'll probably pick up another one down the road. I don't know if it's ever going to show up in stores. I guess time will tell, since this is a brand new release. Only a few people have gotten their pre-orders in from Amazon. So that will do it for the review. I still got more Dino Tracker stuff that I got to review. The Dryptosaurus, mine actually did ship from Amazon, so I should have that figure in a couple more days. I'm sure the rest of the dangerous packs, the smaller figures in Dino Trackers, those should be releasing really soon. So it should be a lot of Jurassic reviews during the month of December. And I'll also be doing my top 5. I usually do top 5 best Jurassic World figures, for my end of the year videos. But since now we have the Hammond collection and we've had a lot of stuff released this year, I think I'm going to bump that one up to 10. So be on the lookout for that video near the end of the month. So that will do it. As always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.